days ago, I thought this has got to be a real challenge right now to be trying to run a university when you're getting mixed messages from all over the place saying, well, this is what you should do, or another organization saying this is what you should do, a government saying this is what you should do, and all of these are very different. And I thought, how hard would it be to get Dr. Caldwell on the show? And it turns out not very hard. 2 days later, we have you on here. So it's a pleasure to have you on with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now, you're it right now. You're the person running Eastern New Mexico University, and congratulations on that, by the way.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been a learning curve, but I'm very happy and fortunate to have lots of continuity with leadership, and vice presidents are there, the faculty are with me, and I get a lot of advice from the regents and look forward to moving forward the best way we can for students.
Well, at least you're not stepping into the position during a weird time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's quite normal, I'd say. Yeah.
The pandemic has got to be probably if you're looking at the history of Eastern, the one time that might be the most challenging to have this particular position would be right now in 2020. And here you are, just kind of thrown into the middle of, well, not necessarily thrown in. You had to make a tough decision.
I did. But they made it easy. They said, it won't be very long, and lots of people support you, so you can do this. And so I said yes. And I've really been very gratified by the support, and I plan to work very hard for as long as I'm there. So I appreciate any support and all support I receive.
Sure. Is there, and you say as long as you're there, is this kind of, are we looking at multi-years or I'm sure that's something that probably the regents are probably...
The regents are talking about that, and I don't know their determination, but they will make an announcement pretty soon. But yes, it'll be an interesting time, but we'll see how it goes.
So we'd had Doc had the unpleasant, put in the unpleasant position of having to make the announcement on what was going on with fall sports, and that is the cancellation of football, cancellation of soccer.
Well, first of all, are they cancellations or are they possibly postponements?
We are referring to these as deferrals. We're deferring to spring. And just so that you have a little background on that, the NCAA has come out with some recommendations, which include 72-hour testing prior to competitions. And as you know, 72-hour testing is really not available in New Mexico.
Right.
We also have quarantine when you cross a state line. That puts a huge hardship on teams we would compete with, or on our teams crossing state borders. So that pretty much made it impossible to do that. If you can't then start practices, then students aren't in condition to play and could be the subject to injury, and we didn't want that. So we're saying deferring until spring, and the coaches are already starting to plan that. It'll probably be a compressed schedule, probably reduced, probably fewer teams competing, but we know they want to play. The coaches will get them ready, and we know the community wants to come out and support Greyhound athletics.
But it's got to be really strange because Lone Star Conference, from what I understand, they're still planning on moving forward, even though it's going to be an altered schedule, certainly, but into the fall. So how do you kind of reconcile fall sports, but we're trying to pull them off in the spring when the rest of the conference is doing theirs in the fall?
Mm-hmm. Lone Star Conference is probably not going to be unique in that determination. NCAA is coming out with their guidelines in August, which is tomorrow, but we don't know exactly when. Lone Star has already met several times. The ADs meet regularly, and the institutions meet. They will meet again a week from today and make a determination about deferring until spring. Right now, several of the universities are already made that decision, including Eastern and Western in New Mexico. But we will wait to see what Lone Star does. Right now, the 72-hour testing is hitting a lot of campuses very hard. We go all the way to Arkansas and then two in Oklahoma, I think.
Yes.
And then the most are in Texas, and then just, of course, Western and Eastern in New Mexico. So it's challenging, but we have 18 institutions we have to think about, and all of those athletes and all of those communities.
Right. Man, I didn't know if the spring was just going to entail us just doing what we usually do here at Eastern, that is beat the brakes off of Western and Highlands.
Well, we may be playing every day of the week.
I'm on board. So the real challenge has got to be, so you've got some guidelines from the NCAA, got a conference actually trying to make some very broad decisions. But then you also have advisement coming from the governor's office in the state. And so
Correct.
you're getting, I mean, you've got to, I mean, I'd say be flexible. Actually, flexible is not even, that didn't even sum it up. You've got to try to meet a lot of different things and try to keep a lot of different people satisfied, correct?
Exactly. And but I must say that every one of those entities, their first priority is the safety and health of the competitors, the student athletes, and of course the people with whom they're working. And that's a problem for us at Eastern. We bring back, over 2,000 students to campus. We are a very visible presence in the community, and the last thing we want to be is a source of infection or contagion to our community, which has always been so supportive of Eastern in every way, and there isn't any good way to do this. So it was a tough decision, tough for everybody, very difficult for the community to accept, and difficult for us to put in place. But we think it's the right decision for the safety and health of the entire ENMU community and our community.
What's the educational landscape going to look like for the students that generally would be in a classroom for the biggest majority of, especially if they're undergrads?
Yes.
What's that going to look like once we kind of get the wheels rolling on this?
Some of our classes will still be in person. There are certain requirements for hands-on learning, clinicals, practicums, internships, that sort of thing, and those will continue to be in person. They'll be socially distanced, of course, and masked, and all of the safety parameters outlined by the state and the public health department. But a great many classes will be online. Now, when we switched to online instruction in the spring, we thought we were ready. Well, now we are way ready. We now have Microsoft Teams, which is a very powerful platform. We have Blackboard, which is a learning management system, which allows us to do a lot of things online. So the level of engagement of students taking online classes we've really upped the game on that. I think our students are very proficient, actually, in navigating the internet, with a possible exception of connectivity.
Right.
But I really sympathize with the K-12 schools that are facing this with very uneven internet in some of the areas. I think our students know how to navigate that. And, of course, they can always come to campus and park in the parking lot and jump off our Wi-Fi.
Oh, there you go.
Instead of just hanging out in front of Doc's house. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we will point out that they're actually not enforcing parking regulations in the fall semester.
Absolutely. No stickers will be required, no enforcement. I mean, don't park in the handicap zone, but other than that,
right.
No, we welcome people to come on campus and use the Wi-Fi. That's why it's there. And of course, we'll be in offices and answering phones and answering email and doing everything we can to make this transition smooth and easy. Advisors are ready to talk to students, and then we hold up a lot of hope for spring.
All right. Well, certainly an unenviable task that you have, but I'm sure if anybody can get us through this with a level-headedness and a certain modicum of grace, it's the chancellor we have. Dr. Patrice Caldwell, we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you both.
We got news on the way. We'll check in with Kelsey on that, find out what's going on in the local area right now. Back to it with Keith Urban, put you in a song. 105.9 Ksel Country.